The poetic modes of this century are nothing but fallacies. The first principles must be out of discussion. I accept Europe and Sophocles, but I do not accept aristocrats. Do not show lack of the most basic conveniences, and in bad taste towards the Creator. Repel unbelief, and you will please me. There are only two kinds of poetry. There is only one. There is a little tacit convention between the author and the reader, for which the first calls himself ill and accepts the second as a nurse. It is the poet who consoles humanity. The rules are arbitrarily inverted. I don't want to be blamed for qualifying as a fixer. I will not leave any memoirs. Poetry is not the storm any more than the cyclone. It's a majestic and fertile river. It is only by admitting the night physically that we have arrived at the dew morally. Young nights, you cause me a lot of migraines. We only dream when we sleep. There are words like the dream one, nothingness of life, earthly passage, perhaps the preposition, the messy tripod, which have infiltrated our souls in the most poetic languor, like rottenness from words to ideas. There is only one step. Disturbances, anxieties, depravities, death, exceptions in the physical or moral order, the spirit of negation, stupid sins, hallucinations served by the will, torments, destruction, reversals, tears, insustainabilities, enslavements, digging imaginations, novels, which is unexpected, what not to do. The chemicals, singularities of mysterious culture that watches for the carrying of some dead illusion. The precautious and important experiences. The dark shell obscurities of bug, the terrible monomania of pride, the inconsolation of stupors, deep funeral orations, desires, betrayals, tyrants, impities, irritations, criminities, pranks, aggressive, dementia, spleen, reason terror, strange concern, which the reader would prefer not to have. The grimaces, morose, bloody trees, though which we have make God logic, exaggerations, lack of sincerity, the saws, the platitudes, the dark, the gloomy, the worst childbirth that murders, passions, the clan of assize court novelists, tragedies, odes, melodramas, extremes presented in perpetuity, reason whistled with impunity, the smells of sissy, fading, frogs, octopus, sharks, the sick wine of deserts, which is sung the lowest, sleazy, nocturnal, sleeping pill, night owl, slimy, talking seals, equivocal, consumptive, spasmodic, amphrosidiac, anemic, one-eyed Aphrodite, albino, everest, aquarium phenomena, and the drunken hours of discouragement. Taciturn, fantasies, acrodites, monsters, syllogisms, demoralizing garbage, which does not think like the child. The desolation, this intellectual midsummer, the scented fingers, the thighs with convenience, the guilt of a writer who rules on the slope of nothingness and desires himself with joyful cries, remorse, hypocrisies, the vague perspective that crushed you in their imperceptible guess. Serious spitting on sacred axioms, vermin, and its insulting tickles. The insane prefaces, like those of Cornwell, Milton Malvin, and Dumas files. The Caudicity's impotence, blasphemy, asphyxiation, suffocation rages in front of these filthy mass graves, which I blush to name. It is time to find We are the birds always charmed by you from the top of these belfeders, and that each night form a blossoming branch between your shoulders and the arms of your well-beloved wheelbarrow, which we tear out swifter than sparks at your wrist. We are the size of the glass statue that raises itself on its elbow when man sleeps, and shining holes appear in his bed, holes through which stags, and coral antlers can be seen in a glade, and naked women at the bottom of a mine. You remember that we got out of the train without glancing at the locomotive attacked by immense barometric roots, complaining about its murdered boilers in the virgin forest, its tunnels, smoking jacinths, and molting blue snakes. Then we went on. Plants subject to metamorphosis each night, meeting signs that man may understand. While his house collapses as he stands amazed before the singular packing cases, sought after by his bed with the corridor and the staircase. The staircase goes on without end. It leads to a milestone door that enlarges suddenly in a public square. It is made of the backs of swans with the spreading wing for dancers. It turns inside out as though it were going to bite itself. But not really. It is content at the sound of our feet to open all of its steps like drawers. Drawers of bed, drawers of wine, drawers of soap, drawers of ice, drawers of stairs, drawers of flesh with handful of hair. Without turning around, you seize the trowel which breasts are made. We smiled at you. You held us round the waist, and we took the positions of your pleasure, motionless under our eyelids forever as woman delights to see man after having made love.
Ever imagining the dire, the sudden, the menace with no thought of the gradual, the lingering itch of whatever? That was my sister. A stomach ache had to be diagnosed. Oh, come on, it's not a big deal. How do you know? You aren't me. At the doctor's office, she waited. He reached for his stethoscope, held it to her back, and put it away in his pocket. Then, leaning across his desk, he asked importantly, "How long have you been eating your hair?" She couldn't answer. After surgery, they came into the recovery room where she had just walked. "You are a lucky lady. We found nothing." She had an incision and several visitors. Besides, she was so lucky. Incisions heal anyway. Not a little disgusted. Me eating my hair.
Appleless. I once knew a girl who wouldn't eat apples. She wove her walking around groves and orchards. She didn't even like to look at them. "They're all mealy," she said, "or else too cheeky, too bloomed." "No," she stated again in case we had not heard her, our laps brimming with Granny Smiths and red deliciouses, with galas and Spartans and yellow golden globes. But we had heard her from the very first. We just couldn't help offering again. "Please," we pleaded, "eat," cracking our bites loudly, exposing the dripping white wet inside. It's unsettling to meet people who don't eat apples. The rest of us now eat only apples to compensate. She has declared herself so appleless we feel we have no other choice. We sit in the orchard together, cross-legged, and when they fall off the trees into our outstretched hands, we bite right in. They are pale green, striped red on red, or a yellow and orange sunset. They are the threaded Fujis with streaks of woven jade and beige, or the dark and rosy Rome beauties. Pippins, pink ladies, Braeburns, Macintosh. The orchard grows them all. We suck water off the meat, drink them dry. We pick apple skin out from the spaces between our teeth. We eat the stem and the seeds. For the moment, there are enough beauties bending the branches for all of us to stay fed. Tiger mending. My sister got the job. She's the overachiever, and she went to med school for 2 years before she decided she wanted to be a gifted seamstress. What? They said on the day she left. A surgeon, they told her. You could be a tremendous surgeon. But she said she didn't like the late hours. She got too tired around midnight. She has small motor skills better than a machine. She'll fix your handkerchief so well you can't even see the stitches, like she became one with the handkerchief. I once split my lip jumping from the tree, and she sewed it up with ice, and the needle should run through the fire. I barely even had a scar, just the thinnest white line. So of course, when the two women came through the sewing school, they spotted her first. She was working on her final exam, a lime-colored ball gown with tiny diamonds sewn into the collar, and she was fully absorbed in it, constructing infinitesimal loops, while they hovered with their severe hair and heady tree smell, like bamboo, my sister said, watching her work. My sister is so steady she didn't even flinch, but everyone else in class seized upon the distraction, staring at the two Amazonian women, both 6 feet tall and strikingly beautiful. When I met them later, I felt like I'd landed straight inside a magazine ad. At the time, I was working at Burger King as block manager. There were 2 on the block, and I took any distraction offered me and used it to the hilt. Once, a guy came in and ordered a Big Mac, and for 2 days, I told that story to every customer, and it's not a good story. There's so rarely any intrigue in this shabberdash world of burger warming. You take what you can get. But my sister was born with supernatural focus, and the 2 women watched her and her alone. Who can compete? My sister has won all the contests she's ever been in, not because she's such an outrageous competitor, but because she's so focused in this gentle way. Why not win? Sometimes it's all you need to run the fastest, or to play the clearest piano, or to ace the standardized test, pausing at each question until it has slid through your mind to exit as a penciled-in circle. In low, sweet voices, the women asked my sister if she'd like to see Asia. She finally looked up from her work. Is there a sewing job there? They nodded. She said she'd love to see Asia. She'd never left America. They said, well, it's a highly unusual job. May I bring my sister, she asked. She's never traveled either. The 2 women glanced at each other. What does your sister do? She's manager of the Burger Kings down on 4th. Their disapproval was faint but palpable, especially in the upper lip. She would simply keep you company? What we are offering you, they said, is a position of tremendous privilege. Are you interested in hearing about it first? My sister nodded lightly. It sounds very interesting, she said, but I cannot travel without my sister. This is true. My sister, the one with that incredible focus, has a terrible fear of airplanes. Terrible. Incapacitating. The only way she can relax on a flight is if I am there, because I am always having some kind of crisis, and she focuses in and fixes me and forgets her own concerns. I become her ribbed hemline. In general, I call her every night, and we talk for an hour, which is 45 minutes of me, and 15 minutes of her stirring her tea, which she steeps with the kind of Zen patience that would make Buddhists sit up in envy and then breathe through their envy and then move past their envy. I'm really lucky she's my sister. Otherwise, no one like her would give someone like me the time of day. The 2 Amazonian women, lousy with confidence, with their ridiculous cheekbones and these long yellow print dresses, said okay. They observed my sister's hands quiet in her lap. Do you get along with animals? They asked, and she said yes, she loved every animal. Do you have allergies to cats? They asked, and she said no, she was allergic only to pine nuts. The slightly taller one reached into her dress pocket, a pocket so well hidden inside the fabric it was like she was reaching into the ether of space, and from it her hand returned with an airplane ticket. We are very happy to have found you, they said. The additional ticket will arrive tomorrow. My sister smiled. I know her. She was probably terrified to see that ticket. And also she really wanted to return to the diamond loops. She probably wasn't even that curious about the new job yet. She was and is stubbornly, and mind-numbingly interested in the present moment. When we were kids, I used to come home and she'd be at the living room window. It was the best window in the apartment, looking out in the far distance on the tip of a mountain. For years I tried to get her to play with me, but she was unplayable. She stared out that window, never moving, for hours. By night, when she'd returned, I'd usually injured myself in some way or another, and I'd ask her about it while she tended to me. She said the reason she could pay acute attention now was because of the window. "It empties me out," she said, which scared me. "No," she said to my frightened face as she sat on the edge of my bed and ran a washcloth over my forehead. "It's good," she said. "It makes room for other things." "Me?" I asked with hope, and she nodded. "You." We had no parents by that point. One had left and the other died at the hands of a surgeon, which is the real reason my sister stopped medical school. That night she called me up and told me to quit my job, which was what I'd been praying for months, that somehow I'd get a magical phone call telling me to quit my job because I was going on an exciting vacation. I threw down my BK apron, packed and prepared as long an account of my life complaints as I could. On the plane I asked my sister what we were doing, what her job was, but she refolded her tray table and said nothing. "Asia," I said. "What country?" She stared out the porthole. It was the pilot who told us as we buckled our seatbelts. We were heading to Kuala Lumpur, straight into the heart of Malaysia. "Wait, where's Malaysia again?" I whispered, and my sister drew a map on the napkin beneath her ginger ale. During the flight, I drank Bloody Marys while my sister embroidered a doily. Even the other passengers seemed soothed by watching her work. I whispered all my problems into her ear, and she returned them to me in slow sentences that did the work of a lullaby. My eyes grew heavy. During the descent, she gave the doily to the man across the aisle, worried about his ailing son, and the needlework was so elegant it made him feel better just to hold it. That's the thing with handmade items. They still have the person's mark on them, and when you hold them, you feel less alone. This is why everyone who eats a Whopper leaves a little more depressed than they were when they came in.
Water just runs through my hands. I don't know that loves the water as much as I love the forest. I do. I feel what you clean. Are you hungry? Aren't your stomach? I have something for you. Just wait, okay? Just go. That'll feel good. Okay. There. But I did something before you left. Because I thought you might like it. I think you might like it. And I want you to eat it, okay? Can you guess what it is? Delicious. Walnuts. I love nuts. Nutcracker. These I have. Put them together and we break them like that. And then we peel them. I do love the fresh ones, but the season is nearly over. So these ones are dry. I'll take some there. You see, it's very dry already, but that makes it delicious. You won't smell, taste bitter. So, here, open your mouth. Good. I'll give you some more later, okay? I'll put this back first. Oh, you like this? Well, I'm sure you like it, didn't you? You don't have to tell me. I know you like it. I actually made it myself. That's not the only thing I make. Do these look familiar to you? Gemstones and all of that. It is actually what we elves have brought into your human territory to influence your minds. They do have power, those gemstones, and we know that. I know you like some ASMR, because I know everything about you and I've been reading your mind. And you know what? ASMR is an elven invention also.
When I think about why I exist, like what seems to be the reason that we exist, like when we feel good about ourselves, when we are inspired and motivated, we're in love. That's what love is.
Potion.
So that seems to be the only reason we're here.
I have oil?
I can literally see color
What did you call?
like I've never seen color before in my life. Like I can literally
Who
see
is that?
color.
The colors seem like they're a thing.
It's unbelievable how much color I can see.
All of the petals of the leaves
Some plants I picked
glimmer,
that I need.
their sound and light.
These
I
plants.
feel like I can see
I'm going to
like
show
the
you.
colors of my room
Dry
reflecting
fur.
onto me. And it's really pretty. Like I look pink. I feel like I'm in like a
It's
fairyland
hard
right
to
now.
get because
Like
it
Avatar
burns
world.
very easily.
Right now I'm under anesthesia.
It's best to just dry it
I'm
at
feeling
home.
very
It helps
happy. I
Dry
never
it.
feel so happy ever in my life.
the root of the plant.
Well, right now we just want to have you
Leaves
feel
were
like this
still
absolute
fresh.
sense of clarity and oneness with
But the
your
root
exterior surroundings.
was not.
We think death is a thing because
And you
we're in
probably
these
judge
bodies
your burn.
and these bodies die.
Well, we
But
have
they're
our
not
own
really
rights
our
for
bodies.
plants. We don't go by.
These are just like spacesuits.
Really big, mosquito-looking things,
You open them
but they don't fucking got anything on you. They're like the grandfathers that don't mean any harm whatsoever. They're like, "Whoop, blah,
Which is the
blah,
ones
I'm just gonna check you out. Got nothing here. Blah."
Jurassic Park was a vlog about dinosaurs.
A very intricate vlog.
I feel like
berry.
my body is like
Orchids. I will take mine.
is not there.
These freaking tiny things are fantastic to crumble. Oh,
I can feel like the connection between the air and my like actual body. Does that make sense?
Everything is so beautiful. Music is so sharp. So alive.
I don't even know how to explain that. But like I can feel like the in-betweenness of everything.
That we have.
It's a word. How different a penis and a finger are.
Polterberry. Looks like the juniper gets darker. And you
I happen to be sitting on this log, and this log
also
seems to have left the overall consciousness, but it truly hasn't. It's just lifted off into another dimension, another plane of consciousness.
the piece of the puzzle that I am is just like the piece of the puzzle that so many other people fucking are. And that's cool, you know? There's a lot of other people that do the same shit that I do.
Everything just feels like it's just a part of me.
because
Like I don't fuck.
People have foundations. People are foundations. If you're gonna put any type of input in a foundation, whether the input is fucking 20 grams of mushrooms or it's one hit of cannabis, it's still a fucking foundation.
This is my couch because that's where my head is on right now. And the rug is what's keeping me above the floor.
What do you call this pipe? Is that the floor?
This is my footrest.
You got all the amenities at home.
That's what I'm saying. My fucking living room is right here. I'm so comfortable.
Like, why am I even trying to explain what's happening to me?
Unique flower. Very rare.
One day, toward midday, as I was walking in a certain neighborhood, I met a horse who stopped me. "Come with me," he said, bending his head towards a street that was dark and narrow. "I've something I particularly want to show you." "I haven't time," I replied, but nevertheless I followed him. We came to a door on which he knocked with his left hoof. The door opened. We went in, and I thought I'd be late for lunch. There were a number of creatures in ecclesiastical dress. "Do go upstairs," they told me. "There you'll see our beautiful inlaid floor. It is completely made of turquoise, and the tiles are stuck together with gold." Surprised by such a welcome, I nodded my head and made a sign to the horse to show me this treasure. The staircase had enormously high steps, but we went up without difficulty, the horse and I. "You know, it isn't really as beautiful as all that," he told me in a low voice. But one's got to make a living, hasn't one? All of a sudden we saw the turquoise paving which covered the floor of a large empty room. In fact, the tiles were well fitted together with gold, and the blue was dazzling. I gazed at it politely. The horse thought. I gazed at it politely. Well, you see, I'm really bored by this job. I only do it for the money. I don't really belong in these surroundings. I'll show you next time there's a party. After due reflection, I said to myself that it's easy to see that this horse isn't just an ordinary horse. Having reached this conclusion, I felt I should get to know him better. I'll certainly come to your party. I'm beginning to think I rather like you. You yourself are an improvement on the usual run of customers, he replied. I'm very good at telling the difference between ordinary people and those with certain understanding. I've got the gift of immediately getting right inside a person's soul. I smiled anxiously. And when is the party? It's this evening. Put on some warm clothes. That was odd, for outside the sun was shining brightly. Going down the stairs at the far end of the room, I noticed with surprise that the horse managed much better than I. The ecclesiastics had disappeared, and I left without anyone seeing me go. At 9 o'clock, the horse said. I'll call for you at 9. Be sure to let the concierge know. On my way home, I thought to myself that I ought to have asked the horse to dinner. Never mind, I thought. I bought some lettuce and some potatoes for supper. When I got home, I lit a little fire to prepare my meal. I had a cup of tea, thought about my day, and mostly about the horse whom, though I'd only known him a short time, I called my friend. I have few friends, and am glad to have a horse for a friend. After the meal, I smoked a cigarette and mused on the luxury it would be to go out, instead of talking to myself and boring myself to death with the same endless stories I'm forever telling myself. I am a very boring person, despite my enormous intelligence and distinguished appearance, and nobody knows this better than I. I've often told myself that if only I were given the opportunity, I'd perhaps become the center of intellectual society, but by dint of talking to myself so much, I tend to repeat the same things all the time. But what can you expect? I'm a recluse. It was in the course of these reflections that my friend the horse knocked on my door with such force that I was afraid the neighbors would complain. I'm coming, I called out. In the darkness I didn't see which direction we were taking. I ran beside him, clinging to his mane for support. Soon I noticed that in front of us, behind us, and on all sides in the open country were more and more horses. They were staring straight ahead, and each carried some green stuff in its mouth. They were hurrying. The noise of their hoofs shook the earth. The cold became intense. This party takes place every year, the horse said. It doesn't look as if they were enjoying themselves much, I said. We're visiting the castle of Fear. She's the mistress of the house. The castle stood ahead of us, and he explained that it was built of stones that held the cold of winter. Inside it's even colder, he said, and when we got into the courtyard, I realized that he was telling the truth. The horses all shivered, and their teeth chattered like castanets. I had the impression that all the horses in the world had come to this party, each one with bulging eyes, fixed straight ahead, and each one with foam frozen around its lips. I didn't dare speak. I was too terrified. Following one another in single file, we reached a great hall decorated with mushrooms and other fruits of the night. The horses all sat down on their hind quarters, their forelegs rigid. They looked about without moving their heads, just showing the whites of their eyes. I was very much afraid. In front of us, reclining in the Roman fashion on a very large bed, lay the mistress of the house, Fear. She looked slightly like a horse, but was much uglier. Her dressing gown was made of live bats sewn together by their wings. By the way they fluttered, one would have thought they didn't much like it. My friends, she said, weeping and trembling. For 365 days I've been thinking of the best way to entertain you this night. Supper will be as usual, and everyone is entitled to 3 portions. But apart from that, I have thought up a new game which I think is particularly original, for I've spent a lot of time perfecting it. I hope with all my heart that all of you will experience the same joy in playing this game as I have found in devising it. A deep silence followed her words. Then she continued, I shall now give you all the details. I shall supervise the game myself, and I shall be the umpire and decide who wins. You must all count backward from 110 to 5 as quickly as possible, while thinking of your own fate and weeping for those who have gone before you. You must simultaneously beat time to the tune of the Volga Boatman with your left foreleg, the Marseillaise with your right foreleg, and Where Have You Gone, My Last Rose of Summer, with your 2 back legs. I had some further details, but I've left them out to simplify the game. Now let us begin. And don't forget, though I can't see all over the hall at once, the good Lord sees everything. I don't know whether it was the terrible cold that excited such enthusiasm. The fact is that the horses began to beat the floor with their hooves, as if they wanted to descend to the depths of the earth. I stayed where I was, hoping she wouldn't see me, but I had an uncomfortable feeling. She could see me very well, with her great eye. She had only one eye, but it was 6 times bigger than an ordinary eye. It went on like this for 25 minutes.